All right. Hello, this is Shawn Stewart of 586 Sports, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you are new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. Now, if you're watching this on Rumble, hit the follow button. And this video is being brought to you by our good friends at Splash Sports, the gaming platform that is built for friends and groups to safely compete in contests for real money. Now, with Splash Sports, there is no sports book, there is no fee. The money you win is 100%. So you don't have to worry about being kicked out of a platform if you're on a winning streak. Sign up at Splash Sports by clicking the link below in the description box. And if you enter your first $10 plus, aka $10 or more, on Splash Sports, you will get $10 free. So make sure you check that the state you live in that you are able to play Splash Sports. Now, if you live in Canada, you are welcome to play Splash Sports except for Quebec. So right now, before I want to get started, I'll make a quick couple announcements. 586 Sports now has a website, so 586sports.com, just in case people want to know that about that. So the first two out the way is going to be this video, and then the NFL regional TV map will be on the website below. If you guys do remember the old website that I had. So as of right now, Splash Sports is doing a college football survival pool contest where you can win up to $5,004. Yes, $5,004. So this contest is a multi-entry. You can enter up to 16. Those are separate. So the deadline for those picks is this Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you check to see like how many entries you have and pick which team, whatever. Okay. So that is very important. So let's say you pick, let's say like it's a $10 contest because it is $10 contest. So let's say like you got three entries. So if you got three entries, you'll get your $10 free, but the contest has to start in order for you to get that, in order for you to get that free $10. So just want to get that out the way. And the link to the contest will be in the description box. So there you have it. Okay, so and another thing. So since it's the first round, so here's how it goes. So this is the first time I'm actually doing a college football playoff type of contest I'm actually playing. So since this is the first round on Splash Sports, you're gonna pick three teams. Okay, so you're gonna pick three teams in the first round. Then the quarterfinals, you're going to pick two, and then the semifinals and the national championship, you're going to pick one. So once again, so the first round, you're going to pick three teams. The quarterfinals, you're going to pick two, and then the semifinals and national championship, you're going to pick one. So get that out. Let's get that out the way. All right. So, and we are ready to go. All right. So first game we have is Indiana and Notre Dame, as the Fighting Irish is favored by 7.5. And Irish defeated USC 49-35 as the final score. The Hoosiers beat Purdue 66-0. That was the last game of the regular season. So the Hoosiers may not have an amazing win on their resume, but they beat Michigan, they beat Washington, and those two schools played for the national title last year, but they did blow out Nebraska, UCLA, and Michigan State. Now, Curtis Rook leads the Hoosiers offense that is fourth in the nation and dropback EPA per play with 0.139. And the senior is coming off a regular season in which he threw for 2,827 yards with 27 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. Now, the Hoosiers is just 3-10 in all time in bowl games, with the last victory come in the 1991 Copper over Baylor, which is a mile that will be the biggest postseason win and more than likely the biggest football win ever in school history. The Hoosiers is second in offense behind Miami in scoring, and only Oregon was better in the Big Ten on third downs. Number one in the Big Ten in run defense, the Hoosiers have yet to allow more than 137 yards on the ground and only gave up more than 104 times. Now, the Hoosiers is right behind, sitting third nationally in that category, coming out nearly 25 points better than its competition, with the exception of an loss at Ohio State. The only blemish on the record of a team that is second in the FBS with over 43 points per game. Now, for the Fighting Irish, They have won its last 2 bowl games under Freeman after dropping the 2022 Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma State. The program is 21-18 in bowl games, but that does not count the college football playoff loss to Alabama back in 2021 and Clemson back in 2018. So if they were to win, that would be the biggest bowl level win for the Irish since the 1994 Cotton Bowl that was against Texas A&M. That was 30 years ago. Can't believe that. The Irish have won 10 straight games since the loss to Northern Illinois, and in dominant fashion, ranking first in college football in point differential, averaging out 26.3 points better than its opponents this season. Now, defensively fronts will take over in the fourth quarter with more and more pressure, forcing the Hoosiers field goals instead of touchdowns. They do play with supreme confidence, knowing the defense will step up to save the day. Now, as good as the Hoosiers is on offense, it is held to under 190 rushing yards 7 times. Now, the Irish in the 8 wins over teams that kept under 190. So I would take Notre Dame if I were you for that survival pool pick. So take Notre Dame. All right, next one we have is SMU and Penn State as favored as a 8.5. And this will be the only third meeting between Penn State and SMU and second in the postseason. The Nittany Lions and Mustangs tied 13-13 in the 1948 Cotton Bowl, while Penn State prevailed in the second matchup 26-21 in 1978. Now, SMU had a perfect 8-0 in the ACC record during the regular season before falling to Clemson in the conference championship. And this will be the first time Penn State has played a game on December 25th. SMU quarterback Kevin Jennings took over as the starting QB in Week 4 and helped lead the team to 9 consecutive victories to close out the regular season before falling to Clemson in the ACC championship game. Now, he is the type of quarterback that makes explosive plays with his arms or legs, and that was the big reason SMU offensive found its stride and make the playoff as an at-large selection. He is a redshirt sophomore in his third season with the Mustang. He completed 66% of his passes in his first year as a starter with 22 touchdowns with 8 interceptions. And he did pick up 379 rushing yards with 5 touchdowns on the ground. He had a season high 113 rushing yards to help SMU get past Louisville, which was a close game. He also had a combined -6 rushing yards in a 3-game stretch against Pitt, Boston College, and Virginia late in the season. And he does have a great job of keeping defenses on their toes by spreading the ball around with 8 different Mustangs between 1938 catches of the season. Senior Roderick Daniels Jr. leads the way with 38 receptions for 399 yards, while fellow senior Moochie Dixon averages 18.9 yards per catch. Senior Keyshawn Smith averaging 16.5 yards per reception and tied for the team lead with 5 touchdowns. Senior tight end Matthew Hibnick has filled in well following the loss of starter R.J. Maryland. Hibner is coming off his best efforts of the season with 5 catches for 69 yards against Clemson. Recently had 108 yards that included an 80-yard score against Pitt. Now the Mustangs have the first ACC running back, Brashaw Smith, leading the ground attack. He exploded in his first year as a starter with 1,573 yards from scrimmage with 18 touchdowns. He also had 700-plus rushing games this season and is a regular part of the passing game as well. Now, the Mustangs' offensive line struggled against the better defensive line they faced, giving up 3 sacks apiece to Duke and Florida State and 2 against Clemson. Penn State has struggled against experienced and accurate quarterbacks who can get the ball out of their hands quickly. Now, the Mustangs do have the 4th best run defense, struggling against the pass. They rank 91st and allow 232.7 yards per game. Despite the disciplinary, the Mustangs still has the ACC top scoring defense, 20.8 points per game. Now, SMU has averages 3.1 sacks per game. That's made possibly by creating pressure from defense areas with floor players with at least 5.5 sacks. Senior defensive end Jafari Harvey leads the way with 7 sacks and 12 TFLs, ending this season on a hot streak with 6 sacks in the past 7 games. Isaiah Smith collected 6.5 sacks and 6 QB hurries on the other end. Jared Henson, the defensive tackle, does a great job of getting into the backfield with 6 sacks and 30 tackles on the year. Kobe Wilson, the linebacker, has been Mr. Everything for the Mustangs. He leads the team with 110 tackles as well as 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, and a forced fumble. Now, Penn State's ground game was exceptional against a strong Oregon defense front in the Big Ten championship game and will look to establish itself against another tough run defense in SMU. And that could be a huge opportunity for Drew Allar as well with the Mustangs' difficulties against the pass. Allar has quietly put together an exceptional season and will look to build upon it in even brighter spotlight that will only grow with his return in 2025. Expect a big day for Trey Wallace and especially Tyler Warren, who will be used in a variety of ways to find mismatches in the SMU secondary. Now, SMU kicker Colin Rogers has connected 23 of 31 field goal attempts this season with a long of 55 yards. He made all 51 extra points attempts this season. Punter Isaiah Pearson has an outstanding 44.1 yards per punt per average with a career high of 58 yards. Wide receiver Roderick Daniels Jr. is an explosive return threat who can easily change the momentum of the game with a big return. He has 1 point return for a touchdown on the season and came close to breaking one of several other occasions. SMU creates a lot of issues with so many playmakers at the skill position and a disruptive defensive front. So don't be surprised to see SMU defensive making negative plays and getting Penn State behind the chains, resulting in some sort of unsuccessful drive. So, me personally, I expect Penn State to be able to make adjustments to find success on both sides of the ball, and it can gain control on both lines of scrimmage to eventually pull ahead for good. Now, the Nittany Lions' first ever playoff game should offer plenty of excitement. They do have the ultimate game control for a satisfying victory that punches their ticket to the next round to the quarterfinals. So take Penn State. Next one we have is Clemson and Texas. And that is a 4 o'clock game. Now, Clemson K. Covenant, the quarterback, has put together an impressive campaign as he threw for 3,303 yards with an excellent 33-5 touchdown to interception ratio. His counterpart, Texas Quinn Evers, has been similarly effective with 2,665 yards and 25 touchdowns. Now, he's been more turnover prone with 9 interceptions. Now, Clemson, on the other hand, brings a rushing attack led by Phil Maffa, who has accumulated 1,106 yards and 8 touchdowns on 214 carries. Now, the Tigers will look to establish their ground game early against the Longhorns defense. Texas counters with Trey Weiser, who has rushed for 863 yards and 3 touchdowns on 176 attempts. While the raw numbers favor Clemson, both backs have shown the ability to be different makers. Now, Clemson's Antonio Williams have emerged as Klubnik's favorite target, hauling in 71 receptions for 838 yards and 10 touchdowns. Texas spread the ball around more with Matthew Golden leading the way with 47 catches for 738 yards and 8 touchdowns. Clemson's T.J. Parker has been a force, recording 11 sacks and 19 tackles for loss. Texas counters with Colin Simmons, who has registered 8 sacks and 12 tackles for loss. Now, in the secondary, both teams have ball hawks with Texas Jahar Brown with 5 interceptions and Clemson Kahil Barnes with 4 interceptions, capable of changing the game momentum at any moment. So in order for Texas to win, which I do have, they got to limit the turnovers from Ewing. They got to contain Clemson's ground game to force more obviously passing situations and utilizing their defense playmakers to create short fields for their offense. So take Texas. Now, last but not least, it is the Tennessee Volunteers and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, when I looked at that number at 7.5, I'm thinking to myself, why would you give the Buckeyes a 7.5 especially when you lost to Michigan that started 3 quarterbacks. Now, in the regular season, they beat Indiana and Penn State, and they also not only lost to Michigan, but they also lost to Oregon by 1 point. Now, Tennessee, on the other hand, their biggest win came against the Crimson Tide, but they lost to Georgia 31-17. They were number 2 at the time. So Tennessee's defensive front versus Ohio State's offensive line might be its only advantage matchup, but the pressure will be on the Buckeyes, who haven't won a national championship since 2014, Urban Meyer, despite all the NFL stars who have worn that uniform. Now, if the Volunteers run the ball and control the line of scrimmage with their defensive front, they can pull off that upset. So the Volunteers is making his first appearance in the college football playoff. It was in the first BCS championship in the 1998 season and won it, and now it's somewhat quietly worked its way into the first expanded college football playoff, almost entirely thanks to a 24-17 win over Alabama. So, if you are playing this contest, entering it, I would recommend you having more than one entry because you don't want to be like, oh man, I thought this team was going to win. So anything could happen. So like I said, the link to register will be in the description box, and also the link to the contest as well. And you can also follow me on Splash Sports at 586 Sports S. As you can see it, by the way, there you go. So there you see it. Okay. And I will be doing and by the way, this is Safe Trap, by the way. It is a survival pool pick. This Friday, I will be doing a NFL survival pool pick because I did make one last week. So if you do have any questions about which team to pick and stuff like that, of course, I do get the questions that on X, by the way. Feel free. You can send me a message on Instagram, X, also known as Twitter, TikTok, and Threads at 586 Sports S. And you can follow 586 Sports, same thing, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Threads at 586 Sports. And once again, the website is up. I just got to put article and the video that I'm doing right now. So you guys have a nice and wonderful night, evening, or morning, depends on what time of the video you're actually watching it. And I will see you guys later. So take care.